Welcome back, everybody. My name is Tim. This is another Real Ideal Gear review, and today we're looking at a vintage watch, a Caravelle 1976 dress watch. There's no model number on this one, and I know for sure, I know I said this with the other Caravelle, I couldn't find the model number, and turns out the model number was in my Amazon order description. It was right there in front of me, so I missed it. But I haven't seen one for this. It seems to be a pretty common watch from the mid 70s. I've seen a number of these out there, different variations of this case, of the style of hands and the design of the dial. But it's an old watch. I bought this on eBay. This is my first vintage purchase rather than new watches. And so I have a little bit of a system that I've developed for purchasing a vintage watch like this. I really, really like this watch. This watch has got some great characteristics to it. It's got some old school qualities, and it's also got some flair from the 70s. So if you were in the 70s like I was a kid in the 70s, I recognize some of the earth tones in here. As a matter of fact, this reminds me of a watch that my grandfather used to wear, which is a big reason why I bought this, because I remember him wearing a watch like this. I don't know what kind it was, but it looked a lot like this, and so I thought, for 40 bucks, this is a great deal. Manual wind movement, all kinds of cool stuff about this watch. So let's go through this watch over regarding size, fitment, finish, accuracy, and then legibility and lume. It actually has lume. So we'll talk more about that, and then the usual stuff at the end. Overall size, this is a small watch. I believe it's 34 millimeters. It's a little bit too small for my wrist. I don't care. I wear it anyway. It looks a little bit odd. It looks like almost a bracelet with a little round watch on it. So I enjoy it. I think it's great. I love the design of it, and that's why I wear it. It's lightweight. It's a manual wind movement, so it doesn't have a lot of extra parts in there, so the overall weight is really good. Now this watch, when I purchased it, had a metal expandable band on it, or bracelet, and I hated it. Matter of fact, I knew as soon as I looked at it online, it's like, I'm putting a strap on there because I know that's a hair puller. My dad had, for a long time, a watch like that with an expandable band. He wore it all the time. And every time, I tried it on a few times, and it would pull hair off my arms. It's like, how can you wear this watch? It's constantly pulling hair off your arms. So for those folks out there that are wearing expandable band bracelets, all the power to you, because I can't do it. It just bothers me too much. So I replaced the expandable band for a AliExpress oil treated leather strap. I love the color of the strap. It really goes well with the dial, with the colors on the dial, and I think it just adds a little bit more vintageness to it. The expandable bracelet was certainly part of the 70s. I get it. But this to me is it's a little bit more my style. So getting into fitment, it fits really great because you have all the different adjustment holes on a strap. And it's an 18 millimeter between the lugs measurement. So it works great. I really like it. Lightweight, easy to wear. Overall finish. This is where, it's a used watch and it's an old watch. What is it? Almost 50 years old. So as far as rating this thing, I'm not going to get into the ratings too much, but the overall finish, I love this. So if you look real closely at the dial, there's a vertical brushing to the dial that's really cool. You have an orange second hand in there. You have kind of a gold toned hour markers, numbers that are on the dial. You have a case, obviously, that's plated over probably brass. I don't know for sure because it hasn't worn off that much, but I can see it's starting to pit a little bit. And so it's got polish all the way around. The crown itself is easy to grab onto. It's a push-pull crown. It's manual wind, so you got to be careful how far you wind the watch. Try to estimate, how far to go. I try not to go all the way to the end, but more often than not I do. But I slow way down when I get past a certain number of winds on the crown. Snap-on case back. So water resistance is going to be minimal. I don't trust anything but just maybe splashed with water and wipe it off as soon as you can. It's an older watch, and whether the gaskets are bad or just the design and the engineering behind it, I just don't trust this to be anything more than just splash resistant at best. So I wear it accordingly to that as well. But I love the finish of this watch. The handset I think is great. It has lume on the end of each of the hour and the minute hand. There's little lume pips on the outside edge of each hour marker, and so it just adds a little bit more texture, a little bit different variety of things going on in the dial. So that's one of the things I like about this watch is the different things that are going on. The color, the orange second hand is what really got me. It's like, that just sets everything off just a little bit, but at the same time, it's kind of a cool touch to the whole watch. So vintage, yes, and then there's a little bit of 70s flair in there with that orange second hand. I just love it. Accuracy-wise, this is actually an accurate manual wind watch. I love it. And you wind it up, it'll last at least a day, about almost 2 days before it totally winds out. So yeah, as long as you stay on top of it every day, if you're wearing this on a daily basis, you'll be fine. I usually wear it for a day or a half a day, and then I put it up for a while. So not a big deal as far as the overall length of time, but accuracy-wise, it does a great job. Legibility, very legible watch. You have that off-white vertical brush dial. You've got some dark hour markers. The handset is dark enough where I can read it, even without glasses on right now. Totally read it, and I can see the orange second hand too because it stands out from everything else. So really, legibility on this watch is really, really good. I love that. Lume, it's actually one of the worst looms out there. It lasts about a minute or two. I'll show you the lume video on here. I think I only get a couple of minutes out of it before it's actually gone. So, 50 years, cut it a break. I'm 53. Or it's not 50 years, it's close to that. But yeah, things kind of wear out over time, as I'm finding out with myself as well. So I'm going to cut it a break when it comes down to lume. But it has lume, and it actually works for a little bit. So what are the things that I like about this watch? I love the design. I love the vintage flavor of it. I love the dial. The dial, to me, I didn't realize the vertical brushing was there until after the watch showed up. And I took a close look at it. I was like, hey, wait a minute, that's vertically brushed on there. So just an added plus to it. So there's just a lot of things about this watch that I just love. The size is a little bit small, but I bought it. That's the way it was when I bought it. I knew it was going to be on the smaller side because it is a vintage watch. So I'm okay with that. It looks a little bit odd on my wrist, but my wife has worn it as well. It works perfect on her wrist, as far as proportions go. One of the things I want you to hear, though, is the ticking sound of this manual watch, because there's not, like the Timex watches, the quartz watches, the ticking is kind of annoying. But on a manual wind, it's a different kind of a sound. It's not a really obnoxious ticking sound. It has that classic ticking watch sound. I don't know if that showed up on the microphone. I'll find out later. And if I have to, I'll boost up the volume on here. But I heard this even today when I was looking around, and I set it on the desk, and the desk kind of resonates the sound, and it's just kind of a different. It's almost like just a classic clock ticking sound, which is almost soothing to a degree. I'm not going to rate this watch. It's vintage. It's old. You get what you pay for. And what about buying this? What was the process that I used for buying this? Number one, I made sure that I got a video of this thing running. And I would highly recommend that for anybody who's looking for a vintage watch. Make the seller send you a video of the watch running. And not just for 5 seconds. Get like 20 seconds of the video, 15 to 20 seconds, to make sure that it runs. Number two, make sure that whoever you buy it from has about 1,000 sales under their belt. So make sure that they sell a number of watches, okay? If they only have 100 or less than 100, it's like, I don't know about that. Now, a low-cost item like this, you could probably take the risk and be fine. But if you're looking for a vintage watch, in the several hundreds, even thousands of dollars, I would absolutely make sure that they sell a lot of watches, that there's an authenticity process to the purchasing of the watch. Those extra steps, I think, are really important. But make sure you get some video of the watch actually running. Oh, free returns. You want to be able to give a free return. If something happens that's just clearly not right, you want to be able to get it back and get your money back. So I think that's a good safety feature for yourself. Make sure you have free returns. So again, of the three things, number one, video that it works. They've sold a number of watches, especially the more valuable the watch, the more they should have sold, or an authenticity process. And then also make sure that there are free returns of the watch in case there's something that's just way out of line, way out of whack. So there you go. That's the review for this Caravelle 1976. Put your comments down below. Have you purchased any vintage watches recently? What was your process? What was the kind of watch that you purchased? Did it work out for you? I'm curious about those kind of things. Just kind of help each other out as well. My name's Tim. This has been another Real Ideal Gear Review. We'll catch you guys next time.